For years, the world believed they were watching the happiest little prince in the British monarchy, a playful boy making silly faces on balconies, tugging his mother's sleeve, and charming crowds with mischievous smiles. But behind the towering walls of Kensington Palace, a far darker reality may have been quietly unfolding. And now, insiders claim a palace psychologist has shattered the silence with revelations so disturbing that they threaten to shake the carefully polished image of the modern monarchy to its core. At the center of this storm is the youngest son of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, the boy the public knows as Prince Louis. For the outside world, Louis has always been the cheeky royal, the child who steals the spotlight during grand ceremonies, the little prince who waves wildly, covers his ears during loud celebrations, and turns solemn royal events into viral moments of innocent chaos. But insiders say those moments may never have been simple mischief. According to explosive claims circulating within royal circles, palace staff had been quietly worried for years. Behind the laughter, the adorable expressions, and the carefully curated family photographs, something about Louis's behavior seemed different. Something palace aides allegedly whispered about in hushed conversations late at night when the cameras were gone and the palace corridors fell silent. Servants reportedly began noticing patterns, nannies leaving unexpectedly, assistants requesting transfers, whispers spreading through the palace like an invisible storm no one wanted to name. What was happening behind those gates? According to accounts now circulating among insiders, Louis often experienced long stretches of emotional overwhelm, not tantrums, not ordinary childhood outbursts, something quieter and more troubling. Staff members described nights where the young prince would cry for hours, unreachable by comfort, drifting into his own thoughts as if he were trapped inside a world no one else could see. One former nanny allegedly confided that Louis would sometimes stare silently at empty corners of a room, fidgeting with his hands as though trying to process something invisible to everyone around him. At first, palace officials dismissed these moments as harmless childhood quirks. After all, royal children grow up under enormous pressure. Every blink, every smile, every gesture becomes global news. But then the strange patterns began appearing in public. Observers started noticing something unusual during major royal events. Louis would sometimes react intensely to sudden noise, bright lights, or chaotic crowds. During the celebrations marking the Platinum Jubilee of Elizabeth II, cameras captured moments where the young prince appeared overwhelmed by the thunderous applause and spectacle surrounding him. Many viewers laughed it off as childish misbehavior, but experts studying the footage noticed something else entirely. Moments of emotional shutdown, sudden bursts of exaggerated laughter, hands covering his ears, eyes darting across the crowd as if searching for an escape. To the public, it looked like playful chaos. To behavioral specialists, it looked like a child struggling to regulate overwhelming stimuli. And insiders say palace officials knew it. In fact, several royal aides allegedly began quietly tracking Louis's reactions during public events. Every gesture, every flinch, every sudden shift in mood. Yet instead of reducing the pressure placed on him, the system surrounding the monarchy continued to push forward. Appearances were rehearsed, smiles were coached, handlers hovered close, gently guiding the young prince through each performance. Because in the royal world, image is everything. Then something happened that insiders claim changed everything. A specialist was quietly brought in, not publicly as a psychologist, not openly as a medical professional, but disguised under a softer title, educational consultant. Her identity has only been hinted at in palace whispers, often referred to simply as Dr. K, a highly respected child psychologist known for handling extremely sensitive cases involving high-profile families. Officially, her role was harmless. Unofficially, she had been asked to observe Prince Louis, and what she reportedly discovered shocked even her. According to accounts circulating among medical professionals, Dr. K spent weeks observing Louis in both public and private settings. She watched how he reacted during rehearsals for royal appearances. She studied his behavior during quiet family moments inside the palace. What she reportedly saw painted a very different picture from the one shown to the world. Louis was not a mischievous child seeking attention. He was a child trying to survive an environment that overwhelmed him. During private sessions, the young prince allegedly asked a question that left the psychologist deeply shaken. Why do I have to smile when I'm scared? The words were simple, but they revealed something heartbreaking. A child who felt trapped between two realities, one where he was expected to perform joy for the world, and another where he was struggling internally in ways few people understood. Dr. K reportedly warned palace officials that Louis required a calmer, more supportive environment, fewer public appearances, more structured emotional support, specialized care designed to help him navigate the intense pressures surrounding royal life. But insiders claim her warnings were repeatedly ignored because admitting vulnerability stability inside the royal institution is complicated. The monarchy has always relied on the illusion of stability and strength. Every royal gesture is meant to project confidence, control, and continuity. A struggling young prince did not fit that narrative, so the system attempted to manage the situation instead. Handlers allegedly began using subtle tactics during public appearances, gentle nudges guiding Louis into waves, quiet whispers reminding him when to smile, strategic positioning to keep him close to his mother during stressful moments. To the public, these gestures looked like ordinary parental guidance. To insiders, they were signs of an institution desperately trying to maintain control. Meanwhile, the pressure continued to build. During one royal rehearsal, sources claim Louis suddenly froze under the glare of bright lights and camera flashes. Staff reportedly paused the entire event while aides attempted to calm him. The incident never reached the public. Video footage disappeared, the moment was quietly erased. But Dr. K's concerns grew more urgent because beneath the charming public image, she believed the young prince was showing signs of something deeper, a complex neurological emotional condition involving extreme sensitivity to external stimulation and difficulty regulating intense emotional responses. In ordinary families, such challenges can be addressed with supportive environments and specialized care. But royal life is not ordinary. The monarchy is built on ceremony, crowds, cameras, and relentless public attention. Every balcony appearance, every state event, every moment before flashing cameras. For Louis, each one may have felt like walking into a storm. And according to insiders, the situation reached a breaking point when Dr. K completed her confidential report. A report that some claim contained a warning so serious it sent shockwaves through palace corridors. If Louis' condition remained unaddressed, the emotional strain could grow into something far more severe, potentially affecting his long-term development and identity within the royal system. For the monarchy, that possibility represented something unthinkable, a future royal struggling publicly, a crack in the flawless image the institution had spent centuries protecting. What happened next would ignite one of the most explosive royal controversies in modern history, because the palace expected Dr. K to quietly submit her findings and disappear. But instead, she did something no royal insider had ever dared to do. The moment Dr. K finished her report, the atmosphere inside Kensington Palace reportedly changed overnight. Corridors that had once buzzed with routine royal coordination suddenly felt tense, controlled, almost suffocating. Staff members who had quietly followed the situation for months sensed something explosive was about to happen, because what the palace psychologist had written in those confidential pages was not a mild recommendation or a routine child development note. According to insiders, it was a warning powerful enough to shake the very structure of the modern monarchy. Dr. K had allegedly concluded that Prince Louis was displaying symptoms consistent with a rare neurological emotional sensitivity that made the chaos of royal life uniquely overwhelming for him. Loud crowds, flashing cameras, sudden applause, and rigid ceremonial expectations created an environment that could push him into cycles of emotional shutdown and intense distress. But what truly alarmed palace officials was a single line buried deep within the report. If the young prince continued to face relentless public pressure without major structural changes, the emotional strain could escalate into a long-term identity crisis. Inside an institution built entirely on image, stability, and controlled public perception, those words were like an earthquake, because the monarchy depends on the illusion that everything is under control. Every royal child must appear confident, composed, and prepared to carry centuries of tradition forward. A struggling heir, even a young one, threatens that illusion. And that is where the story takes a shocking turn. According to several insiders, Dr. K did something the palace never expected. Instead of quietly submitting her findings and fading into the background, she reportedly circulated her final report among a global network of child mental health specialists, not as a scandal, not as gossip, but as a professional call for accountability. Within hours, the document began circulating privately among experts who immediately recognized the seriousness of its findings. They saw a child placed in one of the most high-pressure environments imaginable, the global spotlight surrounding the British royal family. And suddenly, the palace realized something terrifying. The secret might not stay buried. What followed, according to sources close to royal media operations, was a full-scale crisis response. Within a matter of hours, communications teams linked to Kensington Palace reportedly began coordinating what insiders describe as a visibility campaign, and almost instantly, Prince Louis appeared everywhere. Photographs surfaced of him laughing in palace gardens. Images showed him walking hand in hand with his mother, Catherine, Princess of Wales. Family moments appeared across newspapers, television broadcasts, and social media feeds. The message was clear. Everything was fine. The cheerful young prince the world adored adored was exactly as happy as ever. But insiders say those images were anything but spontaneous. Every photo session was carefully controlled, every angle approved, every interaction rehearsed. Photographers reportedly worked under strict confidentiality agreements, ensuring that nothing outside the approved narrative reached the public. At the same time, something equally suspicious began happening within the media. Journalists who attempted to ask questions about Louis's behavior found themselves quietly discouraged from pursuing the story. Some claim they received polite but firm reminders that speculation about royal children's health was considered unacceptable. Others describe an unspoken understanding that certain topics simply would not be covered. Whether through direct influence or silent cooperation, a media blackout seemed to fall over the story. Instead of discussing emotional distress or neurological sensitivity, headlines began celebrating Louis as the cheekiest royal. Articles highlighted funny faces he made during ceremonies. Clips of him covering his ears during noisy events circulated online as charming viral moments. The narrative had been rewritten, but behind palace doors, the tension reportedly continued to grow because those closest to Louis understood that no public relations strategy could erase the underlying issue. Royal insiders say the young prince had become increasingly withdrawn during private moments. The child who once laughed freely during family gatherings was now described as drifting into quiet spells, searching for calm spaces away from cameras and crowds. During one private session with Dr. K, he reportedly whispered a sentence that haunted everyone who heard it. "I want to go somewhere quiet, but there's always a camera." Those words captured the impossible reality of royal childhood. Unlike ordinary children, Louis cannot simply disappear into privacy. His life unfolds under the gaze of millions. Every birthday photograph, every balcony appearance, every school event. Each moment becomes part of a global spectacle. And for a child already struggling with sensory overload, that spectacle may feel like a constant storm. The deeper question now echoing through royal circles is not simply about Prince Louis. It is about the monarchy itself. Can an institution built on centuries of rigid tradition adapt to the emotional realities of modern childhood? Or will it continue prioritizing public image over personal well-being? Some royal aides reportedly believe the palace must evolve. They argue that protecting Louis means reducing his exposure to high-pressure public events and creating a more flexible environment around him. Others fear that acknowledging vulnerability could open the door to endless scrutiny. But behind the scenes, the revelations from Dr. K's report continue to ripple through royal circles, raising uncomfortable questions that no amount of carefully curated photographs can completely silence. Because if even a fraction of those findings are true, the story of Prince Louis may eventually force the monarchy to confront a truth it has long tried to avoid: that even inside the most powerful royal family on earth, a child can still feel completely alone. And as whispers continue spreading through palace halls and media circles alike, one thing has become clear: the world may have only seen the beginning of a far bigger story.